First of all, Assalamualaikum and hi. We are going to present the operating segment MFRS 8 and interim reporting MFRS 134. Before the presentation begins, let me introduce our group members. My name is Muhammad Haddar Ridwan. The other group members are Muhammad Ashraf Afi, Haikal Danish, and Muhammad Ismail Salihi. Now, let's move to the topic of presentation. MFRS 8 is a Malaysian financial reporting standard that governs the presentation of information about a company's operating segments in its financial statements. It is equivalent to IFRS 8 operating segments as issued and amended by the International Accounting Standards Board (IASB). The objective of MFRS 8 is to require entities to disclose information about their operating segments, products and services, geographical areas, and major customers. What is the scope of MFRS 8? This MFRS shall apply to the separate or individual financial statements of an entity and the consolidated financial statements of a group with a parent. Their equity or debt instruments are traded in the public market, such as Bursa Malaysia, or entities that are in the process of issuing such instruments. This shows that the standard mainly applies to public listed companies. Non-public entities such as private companies are not required to apply MFRS Act, but they may choose to do so voluntarily. What is an operating segment? A component of an entity that engages in business activities from which it earns revenues and incurs expenses, whose operating results are regularly reviewed by the Chief Operating Decision Maker (CODM) to make decisions about resource allocation and performance, and for which discrete financial information is available. What is reportable segments? Reportable segment is operating segments that meet certain quantitative threshold for disclosure, usually based on revenue, profit or loss, or assets. An operating segment becomes reportable if it meets any of these requirements. First, revenue is equal or more than 10% of combined external plus inter-segment revenue. Second, profit or loss is equal or more than 10% of the greater in absolute amount of total profit of profitable segments or total loss of loss-making segments. Lastly, assets are equal or more than 10% of total assets of all segments. MFRS 8 also requires that the total external revenue of all reportable segments must cover at least 75% of the entity's total revenue. If total external revenue from reportable segments is less than 75% of the entity's total external revenue, which needs to add more segments even if less than 10% until the 75% threshold is met.
What is CODM? CODM is a function and not just a title. Their role is defined on what they do and not their specific job title. So what are their responsibilities? So basically they allocate resources such as money and also people and assess the performance of each division. Who can be CODM? CODM can either be individual such as CEO, COO, CFO, or a group of people such as board of directors. So what are CODM roles? First, they assess performance. They review the results of different business segments and then will ask which parts are doing well and which are not. Second, they will allocate resources based on the performance. They decide on where to invest the company's capital, money, and also people. And lastly, they are also strategic planner. They are responsible for setting the overall strategic decisions for the company's operating segments. They will approve business plans and also budgets. So these are the examples for company CODM. The first one would be BLD Plantation Berhad. For this company, it will be Group's Managing Director, which is Haji Wan Abdullah bin Wan Hamid, which is an Executive Director of the company since 2 May 2003. He also attended Diploma in Accountancy at UiTM in the year 1973. He is also a member of IACS, which is Institute of Approved Company Secretaries. The second one would be Hexa Global Berhad. The CODM will be Group's Chief Executive Officer, CEO. For this company, it will be Dato' Ong Chu Meng, which officially joined Hexa Global Berhad as its Group CEO effective March 1st, 2024.
Next, we are going to identify and describe two types of segmental reports used in financial reporting with an example from a listed company in Malaysia. But before that, I'm going to give a brief introduction about the company that we are going to examine its financial report. The company is called Pressmetal Aluminium Holding Berhad, and this company is the largest integrated aluminium producer in Southeast Asia, and it operates across the entire aluminium value chain, from upstream to downstream activities such as smelting. For the types of segmental reporting, there are two types in which the first one is business segment. Based on MFRS 8, a business segment is a component of an entity whose operations are organized based on the products or services it provides. These segments are identified based on how the company's Chief Operating Decision Maker (CODM) reviews performance and allocate resource. As we know earlier, business segment reporting show how a company generates results based on different lines of business. In this example of financial statement from Pressmetal, we can see that they report four business segments, which is smelting extrusion, trading, refinery, and investment holding. Next, another type of business segment is geographical segment. A geographical segment refers to a component of an entity whose operations are distinguished by the economic environment or location in which it operates. Under MFRS 8, entities disclose geographical information to show how different regions contribute to revenue and assets. Based on this geographical segment from Pressmetal Financial Report, we can see that they have Asia, Europe, Oceania, and other countries in which where the customers or assets are located. Next, we move on to question D. Discuss two key benefits of segmental reports for a user of financial statement with an example from listed company in Malaysia. The first benefit is it improves understanding of performance across different business areas. Segmental reporting allows users, especially investors and creditors, to see how each business contributes to the overall performance of the company. Instead of looking at revenue and profit only, users also can evaluate which segment performing well, which are underperforming, and where growth is coming from. In the Pressmetal situation, from the segment report, the highest segment profit is from smelting and extrusion, amounted 1.9 billion, revealing that the smelting and extrusion segment is the core engine of growth for the business. Another key benefit is it improves the decision making through transparency of market and regional exposure. It is because it provides the company with information on where the company earns its revenue and holds their assets. It also helps users understand the company market dependency, regional risk, customer concentration, and growth opportunities. Based on this geographical segment financial report from Pressmetal, the data shows the large portion of revenue comes from Europe and Asia, not just Malaysia. This indicates that Pressmetal is highly globalized and its performance depends on foreign demand. Another example is if there is a recession in Europe, it could impact sales of Switzerland and United Kingdom. Knowing this allows the investor to evaluate external economic events that may affect future profits.
So what is MFRS 134? This MFRS is a standard for interim financial reporting. It contains a report shorter than a year, which are usually quarterly or semi-annually. Second, what is interim reporting? Interim reporting, also known as progressive reporting, are important for decision makers such as creditors, shareholders, and also financial institutions to see the business performance. It provides them with reliable and timely information. Next, it also contains a condensed version of the full annual report. What is condensed? Condensed means a summarization of the company full annual report. So is it mandatory to disclose? Only if the company is public listed company, which is then required by Bursa Malaysia.
Now, let's move to the two significant events that could affect an entity's financial position and performance. First is business acquisition. From the Hexstar Group, Business acquisitions significantly affect both the financial position and performance of an entity because they increase the company's asset base while also raising liabilities and operational expenses. When Hexstar acquired the PHG Group, which includes PHG Ever Fresh Food, Amsterdam Barat, and other Durum processing subsidiaries, its total assets increased due to the addition of new facilities, inventories, and equipment. At the same time, the company's liabilities rose as the acquisition was funded through the term loans and deferred consideration payments. This impacts performance because although revenue increases shown by the fruit segment contributing to 183.5 million ringgit Malaysia, the profit margin may initially be lower due to consideration costs, higher administration expenses, and depreciation on new assets. Thus, acquisitions boost long-term income potential but may reduce short-term profitability. Second is commodity price volatility. Volatile commodity prices affect financial position by changing the value of inventories and influencing working capital needs. In Hextar's agriculture segment, unstable global agrochemical prices caused plantation customers to delay purchases, anticipating further price drops. This resulted in lower receivables collection and higher inventory holding, affecting liquidity. Performance was also impacted as the segment's revenue declined by 9.4% from 345.6 million RM to 313.2 million RM, and margins were pressured by selling price instability. This demonstrates how commodity-driven businesses experience fluctuation in revenue and profitability based on external market conditions beyond management's control.
Hi, my name is Ismail, and now we're going to the final question, which is C. By referring to the interim financial report of a listed company in Malaysia, choose any company of our choice, which is Hexstar. Identify the interim reporting periods for both the current and comparative interim financial statements and present this information in a tabular format. So let's go to our first statement from Hexstar Global Berhad, which is the unaudited condensed statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. For the current interim period, which is quarter two, the statement starts from 1st April 2025 and ends on 30th June 2025. For the comparative interim period, it shall start from the quarter two of last year, which is 1st April 2024 and ended on 30th June 2024. Our next statement is the unaudited condensed statement of financial position, which for the current interim period, it starts from 1st January 2025 and ended on 30th June 2025. For the comparative interim period, we shall take from the last year, which start from 1st January 2024 and ended on 31st December 2024. So why does the statement of financial position and the statement of profit or loss are so different? It's because this helps users compare the latest quarter's position to the last audited figures and not to the same quarters of last year. Now we have the unaudited condensed statement of cash flow, which uses year to date instead of the current quarter only as required by MFRS 134. So for the current interim period, the statement shall start from 1st January 2025 and ended on 30th June 2025. For the comparative interim period, it shall also start from 1st January 2024 and end on 30th June 2024. Now, let's go to the last statement, which is the unaudited condensed statement of changes in equity. This statement is also like the cash flow statement, uses the year to date instead of the current quarter only as required by MFRS 134. For Hexstar Global Berhad, the current interim period for the unaudited condensed statement of changes in equity starts at 1st January 2025 and end on 30th June 2025. For the comparative interim period, it shall be on the last year, which starts on the 1st January 2024 and ended on 30th June 2024. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.